maybe even a tornado trying its best to get down to the ground. And if we were to have a confirmed one, I will absolutely let you know once we get an update from the National Weather Service. But this notch where we've got counterclockwise rotation, this is where we are likely to see the possibility of a tornado on the ground. So I'm going to switch back over to velocity because I think that helps tell us a story here of where exactly we are seeing the possibility of a tornado on the ground. And I'm also going to zoom on in on this notch. Again, east of Hallsville, anywhere in between Highway 80 and Interstate 20 this morning, you need to be in your safe space immediately. And that means away from any exterior walls, as well as away from your television. Make sure either turn the volume all the way up and you can listen, or download our app and you can watch from your bathroom or wherever your safe spot may be inside of your house. Now I'm going to zoom on out just a little bit. I'm going to use this updated reflectivity scan, or excuse me, velocity scan, and I'm going to put another storm track on it. I do want to move a little farther eastward so that I can get a better update for you. So here's our updated picture, and I'm going to throw a tornado track on that so we can get a better idea of what communities might be impacted here in the future as this system continues to move off to the north and east, 35 miles per hour. This includes the communities of Marshall at 10:27 this morning, Scottsville at 10:39, Karnak at 10:52, Uncertain at 10:59, Gray at 11:08 this morning. Again, tornado warning in effect. This is expected to last until 10:30, so we've still got 20 minutes where we need to be in our safe spots, away again from any exterior windows, and as well just make sure you're staying weather aware. We do have a tornado watch that was issued, and I'm going to show us that once we see this system begin to weaken and we can be officially safe from this tornado warned storm. So as we head over the next little while, notice that this notch in velocities where we're starting to see a little bit of swirling of the red and greens, this is where we're likely dealing with the center of circulation, where you're seeing the greens start to spread a little farther northward and the reds turn a little farther southward. That indicates that in this area, I think that's going to be our best bet at the possible center of circulation associated with this tornado warned storm. Switching over to velocities now at our updated picture, I'm going to zoom out here and move a little farther eastward so you can get a better picture of where we possibly could have a tornado on the ground. This is not confirmed. This is only radar indicated, which means we've got very great evidence that we have a tornado on the ground, and we're going to continue to keep a close eye out things. I'm taking a look at the NWS chat. The only things I'm seeing is the warning that was issued, as well as a tornado watch that's in effect. I'll read those counties off quickly. We have a tornado watch now in effect until 4 p.m. for Harrison, which is also under their tornado warning, Marion, Panola, and Shelby counties, also for Angelina, Sabine, and San Augustine counties, the ones that were under a tornado warning earlier. Again, tornado warning for this storm lasts until 10:30. We've still got 20 minutes that we need to be in our safe spots. And if you're in the polygon, that means those of you in Marshall need to head to your safe spot immediately. If you live along Highway 80, as well as Highway 59, you need to get into your safe spot immediately. Those of you in Jasper Heights, Bel Air, maybe if you live along State Highway 43 or even Interstate 20, make sure you're in your safe spot immediately, as we do have a tornado warning for your area. And we always say respect the polygon, which means if you're inside of the borders of the polygon, that means you are under the possible threat of a radar indicated tornado. This is not confirmed to be on the ground, but again, we do have strong indication via radar that we'd have a tornado on the ground. Scottsville, you're just outside of the polygon, but still I'd be at least able to move to your safe spot quickly if we see an extension of this warning issued. So again, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Again, tornado warning in effect until 10:30. And if we pull up our velocity reflectivities, we're getting a solid signature of greens moving northward, as well as some red starting to move southward, which would indicate in this notch, that's where we could potentially see a center of circulation. And we've also got some lightning productivity that's starting to ramp up, which would indicate to us as well that we've got some strengthening that has began to occur. So again, a tornado warning is in effect until 10:30 this morning, and we will continue to keep a very close eye on things. I'm joined by Chief Meteorologist Brandon Anthony. He's getting all his gear on, and we're going to get set to continue coverage until this warning expires. And as long as we need to stay on the air, we will absolutely do so. So if you live along Highway 80 to the north of Interstate 20, anywhere east of Hallsville, you absolutely need to be in your safe spot right now. And as well, for those of you in Marshall, I'm going to zoom in on these communities here towards State Highway 43, Highways 59, as well as Highway 80 near Marshall, Bel Air, Jasper Heights. You need to find your safe spot immediately. Remember, away from any exterior windows, anything such as that, because that means that is where we could see the tornado, if there were to be one on the ground, headed your way. Again, we do not have a confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but we do have radar indication, and I would argue to say some very good data that indicates that we do have a tornado on the ground. I believe Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony, he is all ready to go here shortly. And we'll get some updates and some team coverage here.
Hey, Chandler. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so this is sort of where we were looking at an area as the storms were coming out. We just had that meso discussion come up from the Storm Prediction Center that talked about extreme northeastern Texas and an area that may go under a tornado watch, and then all of a sudden we have this spin up here. And it's going to be, again, where Chandler's talking about how you have winds coming toward the radar and they're going away from the radar. Remember, Shreveport is out to the east of Marshall. And so in that inflow here from the winds and the outflow coming in on the backside of that storm. So let's tighten up that cup a little bit. You said you thought for sure there was something on the ground.
We don't have any official indication of anything on the ground. Simply radar indicated. We don't have any have any official confirmation of a tornado on the ground. It is radar indicated.
Can you flip over to correlation coefficient and see if we can, a little debris tracker there and see? So a couple of little specks here, maybe some flying debris in the air if something did touch down briefly, or it could still be touching down and kind of going back up. So in these situations, what you'll get are these sort of rope-like feature tornadoes. Maybe producing winds up to about 100 miles an hour. That can happen. In fact, this looks like this just got a little bit brighter here to the south and east of Marshall. But how does that correlate with the reflectivity and velocity? So if we'll go back to those features.
We've got reflectivity here. It's hard to tell. It's hard to find any notches. We had a better pronounced notch. I'll go back in time so you can see the evolution of it. But we did have some more better pronounced notches on this frame. And then as it continues to move eastward, a little bit of a notch in this frame, if I can get it frozen there. And then from there, it seems to flatten out, which could potentially mean a sign of weakening, but we're not 100% sure about that.
So let's switch over to velocity and do that same thing, and then we can walk folks
That's
through.
A really good notch there.
And that was at 10:15. Or that's right now, right? So that's
yes, that is right now. We can go back in time here from the start of the warning being issued. And moving eastward, there's another frame there of the notch, and then that continues to work its way eastward. And this is the latest picture that we have, Brett.
All right, so if this is the couplet right in here, and we were seeing what I thought was debris out here, and it looks like it's actually some RF, so probably not what we were thinking. So we've got to keep that eye in there. So this is radar indicated right now. That's north and west of Highway 20. As Chandler's been telling you, if you live in Marshall, you need to be in your safe place. Hallsville, you're okay. You're on that back end of what we call the polygon, or this box-shaped area. And you can see those lightning strikes from time to time. And I believe that's Highway 59 headed up north into Marshall. So if you're in that area, Crossroads, Scottsville, even Crossroads right now, I would probably be headed to my safe place. Sometimes these can turn to the right a little bit. So what we have here, and this is moving out to the east, and Chandler's putting a nice track on this for us. It's moving. What's the movement on this generally?
We're moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour.
All right, so that means it's going to be into Marshall at about 10:28, Karnak at about 10:53, Uncertain around 11, and then Gray at about 11:10, and then that would take it over onto the Louisiana side of the state border and out of here. So yeah, that's been so that was 10:17. So this is still the rotation right in here. And by the way, we've had maybe reports of some wind damage down in the Lufkin area, and that may have been a brief, quick spin up, sort of like this one. But you'll get what we call QLCS, or quasi-linear convective systems, and that's what this has become. And as it's moving to the east, in fact, Chandler, if you widen things out, we'll get a nice little feel for what this looks like when we talk about these potential spin-ups within that line. And if you were watching yesterday, Chandler showed this, Colleen Campbell probably showed this on Sunday. I know I showed it a couple different times yesterday and again on Monday, where we would see this line forming like this, and we can see these little notches, meaning that there's wind coming into the storm. So that's inflow into the storm out of the southeast, right? So you've got a lot of humidity and southeast winds flowing into the storm. Behind the storm, west to southwest winds are pushing this, and they're pushing this at a certain level above the atmosphere to where when those two winds intersect, it can create twisting. Plus you have speed shear, which is the difference between the speed at the surface and the speed aloft, and that can get something spinning. So it's no wonder that up and down this line, from time to time, you can have these little spins, and they can spin up briefly, they can be intense, and then they can spin away. So as we zoom back in on this feature here, and it looks like we have a severe thunderstorm warning also surrounding that polygon where the tornado warning is going.
Yeah,
up.
the severe thunderstorm warning was issued first by the National Weather Service out of Shreveport with the tornado possible tag, and then we saw the warning issued a few minutes thereafter.
Yeah, so as soon as they put that possible tag on it, then there was a chance that they were seeing something in the radar image, something in the imagery that was indicating the possibility that this thing would tighten up, spin up a brief tornado. So now again, it looks like it's flattened out a little bit. This is the latest image that just came in. But there's the city of Marshall. So it's no time, even though we see this little bit of a weakening, this is no time to say, okay, now I'm okay. Because you're not yet. We need to get this past Marshall before we could even say that. And so Scottsville would need to watch it very carefully. But you can see there's likely some very strong winds coming out just to the southeast of Marshall. I mean, we could have even some wind gusts close to 60 miles 70 miles here if we don't ever get anything that touches the ground or we have a couplet there. Chandler, what's your assessment on that?
Yeah, it looks like we do. I've noticed that our past couple of radar trends, we have had some more lightning bolts go ahead and appear on CBS19 radar, which indicates that we do have some strengthening, not only within this particular area, but really all along the zone. And really quickly, I do want to update everyone. We did have counties added into our tornado watch that's in effect until 4 p.m., and that includes Marion, Harrison, Panola, Shelby, and St. Augustine, Sabine, and Angelina County. So if you live in our eastern counties and border Louisiana, you've got to stay weather aware until this primary line of showers and thunderstorms moves away from you. Because even though we see it, the strongest of showers and thunderstorms moving along our eastern counties, we still have some rain behind it, and we'll continue to keep a close eye on that through the rest of the morning. But our big focus here is this tornado warning currently in effect, and that is again until 10:30 this morning. We do have still 10 minutes until this expires, if it were to be allowed to be expired by the National Weather Service. And zooming on in on this, it's really cluttered as far as on the reflectivity is concerned. And looking at the velocity data, as Brett had mentioned, it looks like this bump in velocity has began to flatten out, not as pronounced and curved. If you remember, we had a nice hook on it, which would indicate that there is some strong rotation, and we're starting to see the greens level out more with the reds, which would mean that we are starting to see a little bit of weakening. Again, though, you cannot let your guard down, especially if you live in Marshall. We do have a tornado warning still in effect. Again, Bel Air, Marshall, it will be on your doorstep any moment now. And as well, for those of you who live on State Highway 43 towards the downtown area of Marshall, as well as towards Interstate 80. So going to storm relative velocity, this will also help us get a better picture of where we could see some pronounced rotation.
Yeah, this is going to remove the movement of the storm. So when we're looking at velocity, sometimes the movement of the storm is taken into account. So this eliminates the movement of the storm and should give us a better feel for perhaps any type of couplet. There's a little red next to green here, but that would be just a really small, even though it's close together, it's a very small circulation, if anything, there. But yeah, I'm sure we're getting winds close to 60 miles an hour out of this regardless along the leading edge of that line. If you widen out just a little bit, Chandler, and we'll see if we can get a feel for perhaps what this line kind of looks like. There's another little, see, that's another little.
Oh yeah, I was going to just say we got a report in from the National Weather Service. The rotation over Harrison County has weakened considerably where the warning's in effect, but they're keeping the warning in place. And then they're also watching the rotation you just mentioned to the south, where it's a little more pronounced, south and east there of Darko and southwest of Crossroads. They're keeping a very close eye out on that.
And again, that's where you're going to get those stronger winds that are flowing in, and then the strong winds that are pushing the storm are creating that almost natural twist in the atmosphere. So that's Gill. So if you're in Gill, even though you don't have a tornado warning right now in Gill, I would get to my safe place right now. Gill, Crossroads, we've said that. Elysian Fields, you need to be in your safe place. This is moving over Highway 59, moving to the east, eventually over toward Wascom. You're downstream quite a bit, so are you in Panola. But any one of these little bumps along the line, and if Chandler widens out just a little bit more, you'll see a couple more. There's another one outside of the severe thunderstorm watch box, but that's one we're watching. This one's weakened a little bit. There's a little one up here. Again, this is not something that's uncommon to these lines of thunderstorms that come in like this. And this time of day might be a little uncommon, the fact that it's not even 10:30 in the morning. But, and then those dashed lines there, that was where they had the tag on it of tornado possible. So we put these severe thunderstorm warning boxes up here. And then if you see the hashed line, it means either two things. You have considerable winds inside that box, meaning they could be 80 miles an hour, or you have a tornado tag possible on that. In this case, that was a tornado tag possible. So really anywhere within the yellow polygon, that severe thunderstorm watch or warning area, that means you could have a quick spin up, and that's why the Weather Service will do that. And you'll notice that that's wider than the tornado warning warned area. I want to go back. We call it an outline, this object shape. I had a consultant once tell me not to use the word polygon because nobody knew what that was, but you guys know what that is, right? Yeah, exactly. All right, there's Marshall. So in Marshall, you need to take cover and stay there right now, but also toward Gill, outside of that tornado warned area. We'll wait and see if the Weather Service pops any other warnings on there. Are they saying anything else in the chat about that?
They're just saying they're continuing to closely monitor the situation of rotation possible south towards Darko and Crossroads. So as you had mentioned, definitely just want to stay ahead of the game here in our latest loop. I'm going to go ahead and very briefly take this watch warning box off so we can see.
Yeah,
so again,
this legend's not matching up either because that legend's just for reflectivity. So if we have, I know we have a velocity product that we could use to show the going away. Essentially what you need to know is red is going away, green is going toward the radar. So when you see those next to each other like that, that's where you have potential rotation. Go back to reflectivity and then we can just kind of match up what's going on here. I'm pretty sure we're going to be in the orange and reds here, meaning not only are we getting the possibility of a tornado, we're getting heavy rainfall and heavy thunderstorms. Oh, they've stretched out that severe thunderstorm warning, haven't they?
Yeah, they continued the warning until 10:45, and they have kept the tornado possible tag, no indication of a potential tornado warning being issued. And we are coming up on the 10:30 warning, which they have not said if they were going to extend it yet or let it run out. So that's something we'll keep a close eye out for in the chat too.
Okay, so they're probably going to keep an eye on these cells down here and see if they can get any other confirmation, or maybe they've got some spotters out in the field that would be able to help them, especially over in Harrison County. But if you live in Darko, I'd say right now you're in the clear. Tatum, you're in the clear. Anywhere west of that, Hallsville, you're fine, even though you're still in that polygon box area. You really don't have to fear the storm anymore. It's just basically going to be a heavy rainfall from here. Down toward Grand Bluff, down to the Beckville, you're probably okay. Carthage, you're in heavy rainfall right now, but you're okay. Gary City, keep an eye out. Tenaha, Flat Fork Center, another area that you need to watch carefully. We have these little notches, these little indentions. San Augustine, and of course this area down here to the south under a tornado watch until 4 o'clock. And so are the counties on the very far east side. Interesting to note, Chandler, that did they put the tornado watch for those northern counties until 4? Because this is going to be out of here by
these are all until 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
But earlier this morning on the morning loop, they were actually saying that they would cancel warning or cancel watch boxes as necessary once the main line makes it into Louisiana. Our Texas counties currently under a tornado watch will have that likely we'll see it expired. And as a matter of fact, I think there's already been some counties that have been allowed to expire, because earlier this morning we had Trinity County under a tornado watch until 4 p.m. and that has since been allowed to be expired or even canceled. So I imagine that once we get over the next hour to 2 hours, once this line is in Louisiana, we'll start to see our counties drop from that.
All right, so let's do a reset here. So we have a tornado warning until 10:30, and that's going to be for Harrison County, and the northern parts of Panola County, right? And that goes until 10:30. There's a severe thunderstorm warning that circles that. And that went back almost into eastern Gregg County when it was first issued to include Gregg and Rusk. But those counties are free from this severe thunderstorm warning. Can you freeze that so we get that? So it's not
I got you.
like that. All right. And this is radar indicated, so we don't have any evidence that it's been on the ground, though there have been some stronger indications that there could have been a brief touchdown. If there was, then we would probably have a little bit of damage here and there. Similar to what we had in Lufkin, we don't know what happened in Lufkin. It looks like there may have just been wind damage, could have been straight line winds, could have been a quick spin up that literally lasted just a couple of minutes. But the distance from the Shreveport radar, distance from the Houston radar, and the Dallas-Fort Worth radar would likely mean that if it was low enough that the radar simply overshot the circulation, could not see it. What they did see was at about 5,000 to 7,000 feet above the surface, some 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. Not quite the severe thunderstorm warned limits. I saw 50 in some of the analysis that I did on velocity in Angelina County, but that would not be 58 miles an hour, which would it would take to get a severe thunderstorm warning. This, of course, closer to Shreveport, they get a better sampling of the cell as it's moving to the east. They can see lower into those cells, so it's not shooting at 5,000, probably maybe closer to 3,000 feet. So they get a better feel, and maybe even lower than that if they can adjust the beam height out of Shreveport. So you're looking at those cells along and closer to the radar site, they're going to get a better sample, and that's why they were able to pop that tornado warning on that circulation based on what they're seeing off of winds that are coming toward and away from the radar. And technically, what it really does is it sees the precipitation movement, which kind of tells you which way the winds are going. So it's not really seeing the wind because radar has to bounce off something, so it's bouncing off of those radar objects, those hydrometeors as we call them, and it assigns a wind direction to the movement of the wind, green or red. So again, red is going away from the radar, pushing back this way, green is coming toward. So a lot of times when we're looking at radar warnings or tornado warnings, we are looking for those differences in the winds, that adjustment.
Yeah, we did get some indication from the National Weather Service, a few updates here. This tornado warning that was allowed to go until 10:30 has also been allowed to be expired. Our friends at the National Weather Service are saying they're going to keep a very close eye out on those little notches that Brett was talking about because, as he had mentioned, we could see some very brief or short-lived tornadoes that are able to form within the notches of this line as it continues to march eastward. Luckily, we do have a better picture also, as Brett had mentioned, since we are very close to the Shreveport radar site. And so we're going to continue to keep a close eye out on this area that is still under a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. And again, we do have tornado watches in effect until 4 p.m. for all the eastern counties as well as Angelina, Sabine, and San Augustine counties. So we got to stay weather aware until this main line marches into Louisiana. Now we do have some damage video, Brett, that we received out of Lufkin. Robert's about to put that up for us, and you can see there, it looks like we did have some reports earlier that we had billboards that were knocked down, we had some power lines that were knocked down, and even some tree limbs that were knocked down. Those pictures are being shown on the right side of your screen, and that was from not a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but just this line of thunderstorms as it marched through. It has had the history through Angelina County of producing wind gusts upwards of 35 to 40 miles per hour. And Robert, if you were able to switch back to Max 1, I did want to say that we did have a special weather statement that was issued by the National Weather Service, Brett, too. I did want to inform you about that. This area in Angelina and San Augustine counties has the produced and confirmed wind gusts upwards of 40 to 45 miles per hour, and this line continues to move eastward at about 30 to 35 miles per hour.
All right, so that 40 to 45 mile an hour wind speed would not be considered a severe thunderstorm wind. We need about 58 miles an hour, so what we're looking at here then would just be strong thunderstorms. That's why you're not seeing any type of watch box on that. But Chandler is drawing that out. He's going to put this storm track on it. They're moving to the east roughly at, I think, at about 35 miles an hour. Yeah. And as they move eastward, so they're headed over toward Pineland Hemp Hill at about 10:53. The Toledo Bend Reservoir, about 11:21. So if you knew anybody that was out there fishing on the reservoir, and you can get a hold of them on a cell phone and tell them to get off the water as soon as possible, just because, one, you've got strong winds coming into that area, and two, of course, you've got dangerous and deadly lightning. Anytime lightning is in the area, it can be very, very dangerous. Let's go back up to the cells that we were watching up north, and we'll see if we're going to stay on here or we may go off. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning. This goes until 10:45. This still looks like it's just Harrison County, or is there a portion of Panola County also in that? I believe there might be, but you can see Longview's out of the area. So there are those little notches. There's 1, 2, 3, at least 3. By the way, Marshall, now you're okay. You can come out of your safe place. You're fine. Everything is passed. Hopefully everything is okay and there was no damage anywhere near the city of Marshall. Crossroads, however, I would stay in my safe place just with the severe thunderstorm warning. But again, tornado possible tag on this. Karnak and Woodlawn, I would stay in my safe place for a little while longer until this leading edge of the line gets farther to the east. So we have not had any reports of any damage in Harrison County. We have not, right?
We haven't seen any reports of damage in Harrison County. Earlier, we did have Henderson County in Rusk. We had some tree limbs that were blown over, and that video, if we want to throw that up really quickly one more time, Robert, if you're able to. In Lufkin, this is some storm damage that we did receive earlier. And the reason it was, or the cause of that, I should say, was we had some gusty winds upwards of 35 to 40 miles per hour. Again, like Brett mentioned, not severe thunderstorm warning strength, but still, once you get up to those type of speeds, you're talking about winds that are still going to be able to blow down power lines, still going to be able to knock over loose tree limbs or weaker trees. And it also, if you have any flimsy structures, we do know that it knocked over a billboard. Likely, we saw the billboard that it knocked over. Maybe the structure was loose on it. So again, these winds aren't, just because they're not warned doesn't mean that they're not going to pack a punch as they continue to move eastward. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye out on radar. We can throw it back to Max 1 and we can continue to keep an eye out on these notches. And I was going to say, Brett, this is strikingly familiar to that event that we had several months ago in Tyler. Remember, we had the tornado out at Lindsay Park, or towards south of the loop, where we had to evacuate the soccer camp.
Yeah.
Very similar structure and storm system.
Yeah, this is, I think, more of a linear. I don't remember that one being so linear. That was sort of just a weird quick spin up. But one thing on the Lufkin, just looking at the signs, I would imagine that the wind speed had to be a little bit stronger, maybe just isolated in that area. Perhaps there was a downburst of some type.
Oh, yeah,
I would
that
think
could be
those
possible,
look like
too.
substantial billboards. It would maybe take more of a 60 to 70 mile an hour wind to knock those over.
Yeah, and maybe, like you had mentioned too, maybe we'll get some further analysis after the fact from the National Weather Service, and we can confirm wind gusts. So we haven't seen any official reports from them as far as how fast those winds could have been. I'll scroll back up and double check through our National Weather Service chat, and it looks like, just some bulletin boards, trees, power lines towards downtown and the loop, around the police station and around the block in Lufkin. Haven't seen any updates from the National Weather Service, and we're coming up on 10:36 right now, and we still have at least a solid anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, or closer to 10 minutes before this severe thunderstorm warning would be allowed to expire.
Yeah, so what I'm doing here is I just kind of popped on the storm relative, and so we've got some shear down there toward the to the south of Marshall, so in the Crossroads area, and so maybe 40 mile an hour winds in there. That's a little tighter. That looks a little stronger. So we probably need to hit the erase button and get rid of those. Yeah. So I'm going to go over. That just kind of again shows you that toward and away sort of radar image here. And it's just a little better defined in this like green versus red area. And what I'm looking for here would be bright reds. So we're getting bright reds or bright greens like that. That's a higher velocity wind that the radar is indicating at this time. So there were a couple, and now it's just moved off to the east. So Gill, we were talking about Gill was in the severe thunderstorm warning earlier. You're in the clear. Crossroads now just about to come into the clear. Elysian Fields right now almost okay at this point. But Karnak upstream, and there's those little notches. There's Woodlawn Jefferson, Woodlawn, all of these areas right down to this leading edge here. Marshall, I think you're fine now. Those little bright greens there, Chandler, those are probably 40, 50 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like these are packing a little bit of a heavier punch, and maybe as you had mentioned, that's where we could have possibly seen enough of a notch or enough of a burst of wind that could have potentially knocked over some of the damage like we saw and experienced in that footage we showed you out of Lufkin. So yeah, it looks like we're still looking at the possibility 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. And again, if this were to strengthen, we would continue to see stronger gusts, and that would also keep us close to severe thunderstorm warning threshold. So something we're going to keep a very close eye out for. Again, let's kind of do a reset here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's still in effect until 10:45. No indications of it being extended from the National Weather Service. And we do have a tornado watch, again, that is in effect until 4 p.m. All of our eastern counties, including Marion County, as well as Harrison County, as well as Panola, Shelby, San Augustine, Sabine, and Angelina counties. These are all in effect until 4 p.m. Once this heavy straight line area of thunderstorms gets to your east, we could see the possibility of these these tornado watch boxes being canceled early, which would always be some fantastic news. So again, let's go ahead and pause the reflectivity here and just take a look at this line. It's almost out of all of East Texas. We've still got to get through our far eastern counties and Sabine County, but we're going to continue to pay very, very close attention to these little notches all up and down CBS19 radar as this line continues to move eastward, and we'll continue to discuss the possibility of what looks like it could be eventually allowing this warning to expire, and then we'll continue to deal with that as we head over the next few minutes. So we'll go ahead and throw on our relative velocity product, which we were looking at. And Brett, do you see any indications of maybe some notches that might be a little concerning?
Just that one southwest of Wascom right in here, and if you zoom in a little bit farther. So what we'll do is we'll stay on till 10:45, and if this severe thunderstorm warning then ends, what we're going to do is we'll switch over to digital, and we will cover it on CBS19.TV plus on our Facebook and YouTube channels, and then we'll cover it as the storm system moves into the Louisiana side of the border, and that will only be for about another half hour. So most of East Texas is really in the clear now of severe weather. It's just this one area between Elysian Fields up to Crossroads to Karnak, and in those little notches is what we're looking at is essentially the stronger cells. Go back to that the velocity product that we had. You can access it up here on the right side. So where it says, any one of those, it'll flip right over. Okay. That's estimated hail size. Now storm relatives on the bottom. So right there.
Here,
right?
I'll let you take the mouse and control it.
Right there. All right, that just kind of gives us a cleaner view of what's happening, I think, inside that storm at this point. So the severe thunderstorm warning goes until 10:45. That's going to be Harrison County. There's Marshall. So see these little tight, bright greens? These are what we're watching against those reds. But again, we only have about 4.5 more minutes to go until we have the severe thunderstorm warning that'll be cleared from that area. We'll look and check with the National Weather Service to see if they want to extend it. If they don't want to extend it, then we should be fine. There's Crossroads. Crossroads right now, stay in your safe place until this passes. Just another couple minutes. Marshall's okay, they're in the clear. But Karnak, I think you need to just kind of stay watching the storm. There are no warnings up toward the Karnak area or Woodlawn, but right in here is where we're primarily concerned, especially where that bright green is coming up against that bright red. So those winds that are being drawn into the storm versus the winds that are being blown out from above from a higher level and then transferred down to the surface and then pushing the storm forward is what we're looking at. Now the lightning strikes here, Chandler, look like they're not all that impressive.
Yeah, well, I think over the past couple of loops we've kind of seen the lightning strikes get a little less frequent, which is always some good news because that's typically a pretty good indication of if you're seeing strengthening or weakening within a storm system. Yeah,
and also it would tell us the rainfall rates too, so it looks like those are also coming down. If you want to switch back over to reflectivity, we can do that for sure, and we'll have to You have to go back over to the other product on that other
Gotcha.
on the right side.
On the right side, it's going to
yeah.
be.
Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, no, you're fine. Is it that one?
Yeah, I believe it is. There it is. All right. So from that vantage point, from this vantage point, what we're seeing here, those are, I mean, that's like a little pronounced hook inside there. There may be some gusty winds coming out of here. Here's some heavy rain near Crossroads, south of Jefferson. We don't have the warning box on there right now, but that's what we're, there it is. And again, so this is only in effect for another minute and a half, and then we are going to go back to regular programming. If we get any more warnings, we would come back on if it's a tornado warning. Otherwise, we are going to be doing digital through our Facebook page, and then we'll also talk about, we're going to do it on our Facebook page, we'll do it on our YouTube channel, and then we will also be streaming on CBS19.TV. This little notch down here is also something that we're watching, but again, that's not in the severe thunderstorm warned area. All right, so what we'll do here is then, let's just go back. We'll go to regular programming now. We're going to reset the computer here in a second and get us back to where we need to go. We thank you for watching our special coverage of this tornado warning. Again, right now we don't have any reports of any damage in Harrison County or Gregg County, Rusk County, where there was a severe thunderstorm warning. But of course, we will let you know if anything changes in that regard. Meantime, join us on our digital channels, and then the CBS19 midday news, or news at noon, the noon show, and we'll have more on the storms coming up then.
Alrighty, well, thank y'all for joining us on our digital platforms for continued storm coverage here as we continue to track this line of showers and thunderstorms. We're going to get a little reset here as we were just on the air for some tornado warnings. And as we head over the next 30 to 45 minutes, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect currently. And we also have tornado watches that are in effect currently. This tornado watch in effect until 4 p.m. All the counties that you see in light pink and purple along our eastern counties. Luckily, though, as we see the thunderstorms move eastward and into Louisiana, we will eventually be able to see these watches canceled. Something we'll keep a close eye out for, but our latest look at reflectivity shows a new thunderstorm warning is in effect. And this one is currently in effect until 11:30 this morning. It does have a tornado possible tag on it, which doesn't mean it is a tornado warned storm. It just means that at any moment we could see a tornado warning issued for a rotation within this storm. It is currently packing still a punch of 60 miles per hour. So that means that wind speed or wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour is still going to be associated with this. So regardless of tornado warning or not, you still absolutely want to be inside and stay away from any exterior windows or walls in your home, and you don't want to go outside for any reason whatsoever. This is moving eastward at about 35 miles per hour, and we'll continue to see this make its way towards Louisiana. Still, I'd call it about 25 to 30 minutes before we get on the Louisiana border, and then I think by the end of the hour towards the noon show, it looks like most of these showers and thunderstorms will have made their way far enough east that we will not have to worry about them as far as bringing significant impacts into East Texas. So those of you in Hemp Hill, 1059 this morning is when you can expect this line of thunderstorms to make it into your area. Grand Cane by 11:11, I believe that's going to be just to the east of Hemp Hill. And then from there, places such as Logansport, Toledo, Mansville, Many, those are all into Louisiana, out of our viewing area, which is some good news. That means that the threat would be over, and we'll be able to just deal with some light rain showers on the backside of this storm system.
It looks like that line is really sharpening up.
Yeah, it is.
Between just east of Carthage down to Hemp Hill. So now we might be starting to worry about maybe more wind gusts or maybe potential spin-ups down there.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's really gotten its act together here over the last hour, hour and a half, and paying attention to the Storm Prediction Center too, as we've been briefly talking about. They mentioned this area, especially through deep East Texas and where, well, really all of where we have tornado watches that are in effect, that these environments would be a little more conducive for a brief spin up or even a tornado to last an extended amount of time on the ground.
All right, so let's see if we can put our storm track on that, local storm reports. So we had some wind damage reports back in Rusk County and those Angelina County, some other wind reports coming out of there. Otherwise, let's see, where is the other? I was looking for the other label, and that's not on there. Okay. So these storms, let's see, I'll go back up here. That's the severe thunderstorm warning until 11:30. That includes Oil City, Jefferson. Marshall is not included in that anymore. And what I'm trying to do is get back to this one, but I'm afraid we've got something off kilter there.
Yeah, well, it looks like as this continues to move eastward, those of you in places such as Oil City, Jefferson, definitely just want to make sure you're staying inside. Notice that we're very close to having the leading edge of this dangerous area of showers and thunderstorms. Eventually will make its way into Arkansas as well as into Louisiana. And so we're almost in the clear. We've still got to stay weather aware and vigilant as this line moves out of our viewing area. And still, clearly, we do have areas that are under a severe thunderstorm warning. And we've also got areas as well to the south and east that you can see where we're continuing to see strong winds make their way into Hemp Hill. So anyone that you might know that lives in Sabine County or anyone that has family down there, definitely want to let them know that the strongest of thunderstorms is yet to arrive, and it will shortly, and that they need to make sure they're inside and away from any exterior windows or anything that could cause issues such as that. So something we'll continue to keep a close eye out for is going to be those of you in Sabine County towards Hemp Hill, where we again don't have any warnings that are currently in effect, but we do have the possibility of still some very strong wind gusts that could gust upwards of 40 to 45 miles per hour. Not strong enough to be warned, but still strong enough that it's going to pack a punch. And we already have had reports of areas that weren't under a severe thunderstorm warning that did in fact receive some wind damage. We had some of that that we dealt with in Lufkin. And if I were to switch cameras here, Robert, would you be able to throw that up on Max, or throw just the box up, and if we were able to take another camera while Brett is also working with WSI. So, so again, it looks like that, again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for far north and eastern portions of the area towards Harrison County, and eventually that area of thunderstorms is going to make its way into Louisiana. So luckily that won't be anything that we need to worry about. We're still concerned though, as you can see to my left, that we do have an area of showers and thunderstorms that is continuing to move its way eastward into Sabine County. So again, if you have any loved ones in Hemp Hill or Toledo Bend, make sure that they're in their safe spots. So this is the video that we're talking about on that occurred in Lufkin. You can see on your screen that we did have some what looks to be some pretty powerful wind gusts that were able to blow down some billboards, as well as what looks to be some power lines were knocked over. We've got some damage to tree limbs, as well as some, as I mentioned, bulletin boards. So these storms do have the history of producing strong wind gusts. And now at the time that this damage was reported, there was not a severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect. So again, you've got to stay vigilant until this line is well to your east. So we still have some time for those of you in deep East Texas for you to continue to have to deal with the possibility of some strong wind gusts. And we're also going to still have to keep an eye out for some heavy rain as well. And you'll notice that as this system continues to head into Louisiana, once it is eventually able to clear to your west, or excuse me, to your east, it looks like you'll be in the all clear as far as dealing with some significant gusts of wind and some very heavy rain, Brett.
Yeah, so here what I've just done is we had to reset, we had a label off, then I'm not sure how that happened. But anyway, we've gone back here, we've put on our local storm tracks. And so it's our Titan impact indicator. So we've used this before in the storm, and you'll notice this one right here has a yellow sort of tornado kind of a picture to that. So what that tells us is that, okay, green is like a 0 to 2.5, yellow is 2.5 to about 5. So the wind or the tornado impact here is considered at about a 6. So that's kind of high. So that's why there's a potential for a spin up on that little notch there as that storm moves east of Marshall and gets closer to the Louisiana border. The wind impact with that, meaning straight line winds, is lower. Interesting that it's picking up a hail impact that's above 3. The flooding impact, meaning heavy rain, is almost at about 5. So that's medium to moderate impact of rain. I would think the biggest threats here would be a potential quick spin up inside that severe thunderstorm warned area that goes until 11:30. This is moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. And so that's just about over to the Louisiana side of the state line and out of East Texas. Meantime, down into Panola County, we've got that line of showers and thunderstorms that's now starting to also move over to the Louisiana side. Behind everything, it's just a gentle rain that's going to take until about noon or maybe 1 o'clock to clear out from the entire area. The tornado watch goes until 4 o'clock. But you'll notice that it's probably going to be pushed farther to the east, and that counties that were in it on the Texas side of the state line will be removed from it. So you can see these little indicators here. There's potentially a little bit of hail. There's another one that's got some a rotation in that cell way down to the south. That's going to be way south. That's almost down toward west of Lake Charles. And there's a current tornado warning over on the Louisiana side. And that looks like that's going to be northwest of Lake Charles. That goes until 11:15. So this is pretty typical of what we see in these lines of thunderstorms like this, especially these what they become cold pool storms. So there's colder air here, backside of it. You'll get low pressure that'll form up here. You'll get what we call bookend vortices. And so those will spin, those low pressure areas then create wind, and the wind pushes the storm eastward. And as the storm gets pushed by the winds created by those two low pressure areas on either side of the storm, that it bows out just a little bit. It bulges out, and then when you have wind being drawn into the storm from the southeast, thanks to all this rich environment, that's where we got that little bit of twisting. And that's where we continue to see that twisting. Zoom in there, Chandler, on that new, this looks like it's almost gone to red. We may have something trying to spin up there east of Marshall, and it may be more associated with this.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Excuse me. As far as here, I'm going to throw this into play mode. Or actually, I'll throw this into play mode so we can access our palettes. And again, tornado watch is in effect. And as Brett had mentioned, once we see that bulky line of showers and thunderstorms exit into Louisiana, it's likely that we'll see, because remember a little earlier we had Angelina County was under the tornado watch, and now it's no longer under the tornado watch. So they're staying very vigilant. So once we see showers and thunderstorms well to the east, it looks like the National Weather Service will be doing their best in making sure that they remove any tornado watches if there's no longer a tornado threat imminent.
So they say they're watching storms in southwest Caddo and DeSoto counties parishes on the Louisiana side. And that looks like that weakened back down to green now. So that went from potentially a spin up. I'm gonna switch that back over to storm relative if that's okay.
Yeah, there's I switched it over for us.
Oh, to reflect.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry about that.
Oh yeah, you've got the light to heavy. Now I'm gonna go over on right here. That should switch out the velocity, but see, I don't know why that's happening.
Yeah, I think that logo had some sort of system glitch or something like that. Yeah, it's a
system glitch. Okay, so, interesting. Okay, I'm not seeing what I would thought over there. That's just one of those ways that we can go back and
it's to the right, down one and over one. Is that it? Radar Titan?
Yeah, should be that one. That's one of two. I just thought I rebuilt the other one so that it would save, but maybe not. Maybe not in play mode. Hold on, I'm going to take it out of play mode just for a second. I think we can lose the watch just because we are. I mean, essentially those watches are going to be removed from all of that now, And then I'll widen things out here. We can just kind of work over here in this genre, in this area. All right, so we still have that tornado watch. That's the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 11:30, so that's another half hour. But this line of showers and thunderstorms east of Jefferson, east of Marshall, and east of Carthage is just about ready to exit the area here. These little green areas would indicate weak rotation, and it just went away. So this is continuing to weaken. That's interesting to note that. And that's good news. Meantime, all the way back into Tyler and Gilmer, Jacksonville, Mineola. Rain is ending now at Emory, Canton, and Athens. And then this is just a gentle rain. Lufkin, maybe a little bit of heavier rain down toward Trinity County. We still have a pretty strong line of thunderstorms south of Hemphill, all the way down through Jasper and Newton County, Polk County, down in deep East Texas. And this will also move out of the area within the next half hour. So these are going to be gone. I think our original forecast of these moving out of the area by noon, at least the thunderstorms, is going to hold.
Yeah, it looks like that'll be the case. And excuse me, it looks like the strongest of activity right along the Louisiana border, except for those of you who live in Sabine County. All we've got to do is just keep a close eye out for y'all over the next little while. The good news, though, is that, as Brett had mentioned, it looks like it's continuing to weaken, especially the stronger structure where we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11:30 this morning. The other set of good news is that it looks like overall that the rain has started to end for many of us, and that once you're to the west of this long line of pretty strong thunderstorms for the rest of the day, you won't have to deal with any potential tornado threat, which is always a great sigh of relief, or a great relief just to not have to worry about that. And yeah, we're going to continue to watch Sabine County very, very closely here for the next little while, and Hemphill especially because as we saw earlier, we did have some notches that ended up producing a quick spin up, and some of these can be very, very short-lived and only be worn, or only might have some significant rotation for a few minutes here and then weaken and then pulse up again. So they're very spontaneous, I would say, would be a good word to use to describe.
That's a great word.
They're very spontaneous. So
brief and intense, right?
Yeah, brief and intense. I'm switching through products here, trying to get a better idea. And it also it's a little harder to keep an eye out for these brief spin-ups through deep East Texas, as Brett was talking about earlier on our coverage on CBS. It's because we're so far away from the radar site, and it's a lot more difficult for our radar beam to pick up on the center of the storm structure that's closer to the surface, which would be if there were to be a tornado. That's where we would see one spawn and move towards the ground. But it looks like, Brett, overall, for the most part, I think we're starting to at least see northern portions of the area make at least the strongest of thunderstorms move out and about and into Louisiana and Arkansas. Still Cass County, we've got about another 10 to 15 minutes that we've got to deal with stuff there. Otherwise, once this line moves to the east, it looks like we'll be in the all clear, minus Sabine County, which we'll continue to keep a very, very close eye out for.
Yeah, so that'll go, and Sabine is under no warnings right now, right?
Yeah, no warnings, just heavy rain, and I don't think the lightning is up. Yeah, the lightning product is on, so yeah, just some.
All right, so not much lightning with it, so I'm not going to say that it's weak. We've seen in the past, remember, we've had tornado warnings with no lightning.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, which, there were the tropical funnels, or however you want to describe those. And that, and Chandler was talking about that, the June 8th event in western parts of Smith County, where there wasn't much, there was thunder and some lightning in that, but it really wasn't a structure that would have anticipated or told us that there would have been a tornado. And that was a quick spin up like that. And so this is similar today with these quick spin ups that were possible. But now, again, we are probably at the very end of this. Most of the area, Nacogdoches, Zavala, Lufkin, you're fine now, even though we had damage earlier in Lufkin, but the storm is past. Now what we have to do is get rid of the rain, and so events that are going on later today, we've got the military marching band competition finals tonight. That should be fine for that. If there are any trunk or treats going on, area church services or anything like that this evening, you're going to be fine. It's just really the next half hour. In fact, right now, I'd say 90% of us are okay. It's just raining and it's not a dangerous or threatening rain. Now, the one thing I will say about this is behind all of this, the winds will pick up. It will become breezy later on today. And then overnight tonight and during the day tomorrow, the wind will pick up, and we may have a wind advisory issued tomorrow for wind gusts close to 40 or 45 miles an hour. So if we have any weakened trees by wind today, or rain, or older trees with older root systems on them, and that soil becomes damp because of all the rain, it probably won't take a ton of wind tomorrow to knock some of that down. Or an old dead limb on a tree. That could easily, in those winds tomorrow, get knocked down. So we may have what we'll call non-thunderstorm wind damage tomorrow, thanks to the stronger wind gusts that occur behind in the wake of this system. So that's a certain possibility. That cooler air will be helping to funnel in those winds, as often wind is created by the temperature differences along a horizontal area from, say, east to west, north to south, something like that, but along horizontal areas, or pressure differences. And in this case, it'll be somewhat of a temperature difference in that it will be a lot warmer out to the east and cooler back to the north and to the northwest. And so as air flows out, air wants to rush in and take its place. And if it's colder, it's heavier, it's denser, it works and moves faster. And that will be the reason for all of that wind tomorrow.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely for the marching band competition later, it might be one of those kind of events, no plumes.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that would be tough. Okay, so I can handle this here. And Chandler's going to go update our Alpha Media radio partners. And we'll continue our coverage here for the next few minutes on this severe thunderstorm warning that continues back up here in parts of, let's see, I'll get all the counties involved here for you. That's going to be until 11:30. It will also include Harrison County. It looks like parts of Panola County are still involved in that. We'll go on up to Cass County. Cass County is in the severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to go all the way up here. Marion County, so it's going to start here in Cass County near Linden, through Marion County in Jefferson, down through Harrison County to the northeastern portion of Panola County. But really, the area that we want to concentrate on are going to be these extreme eastern parts of each one of these counties. In fact, you could, if you're listening to us right now in Panola County, you're in the clear, you're fine. I would say almost everyone in Harrison County except this extreme northeastern corner right here, and I'll zoom in as far as I can on that and see if we can get any little towns, maybe highways involved in that. Uncertain would still be in that severe thunderstorm warned area, and then we'll come up toward Highway 43, where it's just kind of on, let's see, right close to the county border, right close to the Marion-Cass County border, Cass County border. So that severe thunderstorm warning should still be heated until about 11:30. So we do have that to contend with. All right, so again, the reset here, if you're watching us on digital or YouTube channel, CBS19.tv or Facebook, we continue to watch these thunderstorms as they exit off to the east, and they will be out of East Texas here very soon, within probably the next half hour. I would not anticipate the severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in effect being extended past 11:30 for any of the Texas counties. And the National Weather Service continues to watch areas now on the Louisiana side. So really it looks like the attention is being more so drawn to the Louisiana side of the state line as opposed to anywhere else in East Texas. So that's just the broad view. You can see everything there. Mount Pleasant to Gilmer, Longview, Carthage, Jacksonville, Nacogdoches, Lufkin. It is just generally rain right now. We continue to just sort of peel away the warning area, and it now looks like it's just extreme eastern parts of Cass County, Marion County, extreme eastern parts of Harrison County, and that little corner of Panola County, and soon that should be dropped. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning was issued east of Center, but that does not include maybe just a little trickle, little piece of Shelby County in that as it moves eastward. Still looks like down towards Sabine County, Hemp Hill area, not a warned storm right now. You can see our little Titan indicator is giving us an idea that there is some rotation within that cell. And within that cell, there could be some rotation, which could create either some small hail or an outflow wind that could be on the strong side. So this will continue. All right, let me go to our storm relative velocity here. And what I'm looking at here are going to be winds, and the winds have really quieted down all along. Pretty amazing that we've gone from a tornado-warned storm to something now where it's just looks like there's just some winds at 30, 35 miles an hour inside these storms, and that is about it at this time. All right, so that second warning, yeah, that's just extreme eastern parts of Shelby County. Boy, that's even tough to say that there's much danger there. And we're watching with the tornado, those dashed lines are a tornado tag and that severe thunderstorm warning. That's till 11:30. So that's for about the next 20 minutes or so. And then we continue just kind of back here. And again, we're just not seeing a ton that has us concerned right now. So if you have any pictures that you can send us, please do send those pictures. Weather at CBS19.tv. We'll take all the pictures that you have if you have of some damage, or if you have a real cool looking cloud picture today, which it could have been as these were moving through. If you think you saw a funnel cloud and captured a picture of that, please share that with us. We can share that on air tonight. We can share that either in our news or in our weather segments, and we can let everyone know what you witnessed. We had, again, some damage out around the Lufkin area, so and I think within the city of Lufkin, that some city officials sent us pictures of a downed billboard. Looked like some other small structures, maybe a roof or something blown off, which would take a substantial wind to do that, maybe gusting in the order of about, let's say, 60 or 70 miles an hour. If it's possible, Robert, can you pop up the CBS19 studio camera? I got to show everyone in Tyler what's happening here. Look at this. We have blue sky starting to pop up now. So this storm is starting to really rapid. You can see the little raindrops falling in the near the camera, but in the background. So in the foreground, you have those little raindrops. Background, blue sky popping out. So we're going to get back to blue sky, and the temperature is going to bounce back up into the 70s today. It will become breezy, and it's going to end up being a real nice day. We just knew we were going to have a stormy first half of the day, and that's exactly how things are playing out. So Chandler, the update here is that they still continue the severe thunderstorm warning for Cass, Harrison, Marion, and Panola County till 11:30, and they still have the tornado possible tag on it, even though, I mean, you're talking about what, the last couple of miles to go in the state of Texas before it's all in Louisiana.
Oh yeah, near like Wascom along I-20.
Yeah, that's about it at this point.
Well, that's always some good news, and yeah, the timing of it, always unfortunate when it's in the mornings, but well, at least the second half of the day, if there's a silver lining to today, is
that it wasn't at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Yeah, definitely. There's always pros and cons.
Yeah, those are the scariest ones. And then when we were looking at the timing, it looked initially like it could be as early as 5 a.m. And then as we got the week underway, then it started looking like it would be closer to 6 a.m. And I think it was more like 7 a.m. until they even got really into our area.
Yeah, no, it was closer to the 7 o'clock hour for our western counties, and then from there we were dealing with thunderstorms for a couple of hours, and then it really ramped up by around 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's when we started to see some strengthening, and then a tornado warning closer to the 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and most of the high-resolution computer models that we use, they indicated that there might be some re-strengthening in about the 8 to 9 o'clock hour, as some extra wind kind of kicked in, and the atmosphere cooled a little bit thanks to being around sunrise. And so that combination just kind of got everything refueled again. And then once the line kind of got reformed, and then it became its own sort of environment. It became its own sort of thunderstorm complex again, with likely an area of low pressure at the top end and down toward the very far south, probably closer to Houston. But remember, low pressure has counterclockwise circulation, so you had this happening here, and then you had this happening here, and so you had an area of colder air develop here. It got pushed out this way, and then you had winds being drawn back into the system from the southeast, and there's another tornado warning as a result of that sort of natural spin in the atmosphere. And then we had the tornado warning up initially around Hallsville, then moving over toward Marshall. But again, and I've not heard of it, this was, as far as you know, it was all just radar indicated, right?
Yeah, we don't have any reports of official tornadoes on the ground. Closer to Houston, there were reports of rotating clouds, but nothing as far as confirmed reports here in East Texas, which is always some fantastic news.
Yeah, and I'm just checking social media channels to see if anybody is sending any pictures in, and I'm not seeing anything. You know, occasionally you'll get somebody who will snap a picture of a funnel or something that looks like scary looking cloud, but in this instance, it could have been so brief. But I'm sure there's a lot of low clouds out there that were people possibly seeing earlier today.
Yeah, excuse me, there is a little bit of additional lightning strikes showing up on CBS19 radar near our Titan indicator here, maybe a little bit of a notch trying to get going north
near
of Hemphill. Yeah, north of Hemphill. Let's put on a different product. Where did it go? Mouse, nope, that's not.
Oh, if somebody's watching from Kilgore, they want to know Kilgore's out of it. Yes, I'm going to answer some of these Facebook questions that were on here. What about Alto? Alto's fine, just rain, eventually getting back to sunshine eventually. My son and family live in the Crossroads area, Elysian Fields. I think Elysian Fields is fine now. Hopefully nothing, I don't think they had anything. It was really, really windy and a lot of rain. Angie says, thank you, Brett, and your weather team, keeping us informed. My son and grandchildren live in the Crossroads area. All right, well, Angie, we're happy to provide that information. Veronica has friends in Timpson, Texas. How is the weather there? I think Timpson is okay. Was there a chance? I guess there was always a chance of anybody having a tornado, but I don't think we had anything touch down there. What's going on in Tyler? I'm in California, but my daughter is in Tyler. Oh, Candace, you're fine. Tyler didn't have any severe thunderstorm warnings today. We had a little bit of rain. That's moved out. Let's see. Then we have, Jesse Starr was saying there was a tornado that was earlier. Yeah, it's Scottsville, not Scottsdale. So maybe one of us said Scottsdale. I'm not sure. Could have happened.
Yeah, still keeping a close eye out on these little notches in Sabine County. Luckily, though, farther northward, the bulk of the line is now in Louisiana, so that's always some fantastic news.
Yeah, Lydia wanted to know it was coming from the west. She's already probably seen it. Was in Longview. All right, and that was, oops, this was an hour ago. All right, let's see. Let's see if there's this is the new one. Oh, we're still live now on this one. Okay. We've been answering these questions. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like everything's all good. We don't have any new indications from the National Weather Service of anything they might reissue. Still, this severe thunderstorm warning just to the north of Sabine County. This one's in effect until 11:45. The one to the north of that near Shreveport in effect until 11:30. Almost all of the rain associated with these warnings has moved into Louisiana. So those of you in Marshall, Carthage Center, you're in the clear. Just some moderate rainfall for the rest of the day. We're still going to keep a very close eye out through Sabine County as well. St. Augustine, you're okay right now. Looks like Broadus, Zavala, Lufkin, Nacogdoches, into Diboll, Huntington, those areas okay. Appleby, you're okay. But here in Sabine County, that's the last area where we're going to keep a very close eye out for things. And our storm relative velocity product, we're starting to get to the edge of being able to see anything significant on radar simply because we are so far away from the radar site.
Yeah, so I mean, even though we might get an indication of a twist, there could be a twist at 6,000 feet above the surface.
Yeah, and you're typically a lot of those will occur a little farther up off the ground before they're able to try their best to make it towards the surface. These are old reports. Still nothing new from the National Weather Service.
I think at this point, I think we're pretty safe to wrap up the coverage. We don't have any really severe thunderstorm warnings. I mean, for about the next 15 minutes, but all of the thunderstorms have moved out of the state, for that matter. All right, so we'll wrap this up here on Facebook and on our website and on streaming on YouTube or anything like that. Chandler has the noon show coming up at noon, so he needs to go get ready for that. That's about 45 minutes from now. So we thank you for tuning in and staying with us on our social media channels this morning. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 15 minutes for Marion, Cass, Panola County, and also Harrison County, but essentially those storms have moved out of the area. The danger has also shifted to the east, and there was another severe thunderstorm warning south and east of that, maybe a little sliver of Center County in that, but really the danger has now moved over into and onto the Louisiana side. We'll keep an eye on the Sabine County storm, right now not currently warned, but if anything is warned on that storm, we will come back on and we will let you know. Have a great day, everyone.